Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. I'm ready to go today. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, Jenny. I just want to say this before we get to our first topic. You know, the Skip Bayless that we know now is not the Skip Bayless that was in Bristol. That's all I want to say.
I don't know what that means.
You do know. We're going to talk about it in the first block. You changed since you got to L.A. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's the water. Well, you changed.
Yeah. All I know is that my man Tom Brady is now posting more on Instagram than either you or your so-called king are posting on Instagram.
He's on IG a lot, Skip. He's on IG an awful lot.
Shannon, how are you even talking right now, considering your social media presence? All right, we have a packed show, and since Skip brought up Tom Brady, I feel like that's the only way we should start Undisputed today, because it is very clear that since leaving New England, Tom Brady's persona has changed. He has started to promote his personal products more frequently from his TB12 brand. He made an appearance on the Howard Stern Show and was mic'd up the entire time during the Match charity golf event. We've heard more from Brady than we typically would have under the Belichick regime. I'll take all the Tom Brady I can get. Shannon, how do you explain this new Tom Brady?
Well, really, I don't really think there's an explanation that is really needed, Skip. Have anybody ever thought this might be the real Tom Brady, not the guy that suppressed and was so guarded over the last 20 years? Skip, they're talking like the guy has a drug habit. Yes, he was very guarded. Yes, he did not let a whole lot of people into his circle. But I can assure you, the very people that was in Tom Brady's circle for the last 20 years, they still remain. I don't think, Skip, what's really eating at them, I don't think the Boston media and a lot of the Boston faithful have gotten over that Tom Brady actually left. They thought this thing was going to run for another 3, 4, 5, forever how long it was going to run. And they were going to be able to brag and gloat about we're Super Bowl champs and we're going back to the Super Bowl. Now, they still might, but the road got a lot more difficult. Sometimes, Skip, people put on a persona. But remember, perception is a person's reality, but that's not always the truth. The perception that they have of Tom Brady, that he's guarded, he's guarded, gee whiz, maybe this was Tom Brady all along, and maybe in the best interest of the team and show the leadership that he needed to show, this was the way it was supposed to be. I don't think Tom Brady is any different. Is he posting more now? Yes. Maybe he feels like he wants to say more now. Now, down the road, Skip, do I believe that Tom Brady will have anything negative to say about that organization, which he just left? Or he will say anything derogatory about Coach Belichick or Mr. Kraft? Skip, I do not. I think down the road he might write a tell-all and say, you know what, I'm disappointed that it ended the way it ended, but I don't really think he's going to say anything derogatory. But at the end of the day, Skip, maybe the Tom Brady that we're watching right now, the one that was mic'd up during the golf outing, the one that's been posting more and more, maybe that's the real Tom Brady. And the other guy was a sham.
No, the other guy wasn't a sham. Shannon, here's what happened. For 20 years, Tom Brady had to live under the rule of and under the thumb of Coach Troll. Bill Belichick was the all-time dictator, tyrant, ogre, the most difficult coach, I believe, to play for that we've ever seen in the National Football League. But his quarterback swallowed it and let him get away with it. His quarterback, who was slowly but surely becoming the GOAT, sacrificed his, Tom Brady's ego for his, Bill Belichick's, huge ego. And Shannon, I think it was harder than anybody knew on Tom Brady, but he knew he had to do it for the greater good of the team. He had to tell everybody in the locker room, it's okay, it's just the way he is. You just got to take the abuse, because in the end, we're going to win because of the discipline and dedication and the structure and the culture and all those hard things to live with that even Gronkowski is so happy to be free of. As long as the quarterback bought into it for 20 years, great things were going to happen. Obviously, 9 Super Bowls in 20 years happened. 6 wins in Super Bowls happened. And yet, the first thing Chad Johnson told me, a guy I've been close to for a long time, when he went to the Patriots in 2011, he was shocked. The first day of camp, they had a full team film session in which Bill Belichick threw in the tape of the previous year's playoff loss at home to the Jets. I don't know if you remember, 2010 ended with Tom Brady losing to Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez. It was 28-21. Brady threw for 300. He played okay, but they got their butts kicked. And Chad Johnson said he was in awe that immediately Bill Belichick started to remount the quarterback, Tom Brady. He went after him with that sarcastic ridicule that Belichick is so good at. And then practice started, and Chad told me he didn't let up on him. Practices, camp practices, he's all over number 12. And number 12 took it because number 12's father always taught him growing up in San Mateo, California, you have to honor and obey your head coach. So Tommy was always a good boy for Bill Belichick, but after a while it started to eat him up. And then we've talked for hours about what happened. In 2017, Brady woke up and realized that guy that he sacrificed for is trying to push him out the back door in favor of Jimmy G. And then that 2017 Super Bowl happened, the Eagles happened, Philly special happened, and Tom Brady woke up the next day and thought, I threw for 505. I scored 33. We gave up 41 because my friend Malcolm Butler spent the whole day on the bench after he played the most snaps of any defensive player during the regular season. And Brady just couldn't take it anymore. And I think he did feel like he got sabotaged in that Super Bowl. So remember, a month or so later, Tom's out here in Santa Monica at a business conference, and it was a paid gig, but Jim Gray interviewed him, and Jim Gray does a great job of interviewing and getting the most out of Tom Brady. And he asked Brady, do you feel like you get the appropriate gratitude from the Patriots? And Brady said, I plead the fifth. And then Jim Gray said, are you happy? And he said, I have my moments. What? Those were the first shots fired from Tom Brady at the coach he was supposed to honor and obey. And it was a ticking time bomb from that point forward. So Shannon, to me, what we're seeing now is this is like an 18-year-old kid who finally broke free from, a horribly strict father. And he got to go away to college. And he's out in college. He's on his own now. And he is flexing his goatish muscles. He's feeling his social oats. He's enjoying the fruits of being the GOAT all of a sudden, and he's going social media wild. He is. And again, the reason I don't love it is because he's way better at playing quarterback than he is at being glib or funny or cute on social media, because most of it, even to me, and I love Brady, it's, I'll give you this. It's
dry.
It's a little silly. It's a little cliched. It's a little gee whizzy. It's a little lame. It's straight up lame most of the time. And yet he is showing you his other side. I get that. But I'm happy for him because he's finally saying, I'm free. It's like he's on extended spring break in Tampa. And it's fun to watch. He's found his happiness. He's riding a wave in Tampa Bay. He's posting all over Twitter and Instagram. And again, I hope it's not to the detriment of preparing to play football, but I don't think it is, Shannon. I'm happy for him because I think this man paid prices that we have no idea how severe they were for 20 years under Coach Troll.
Whoa, this is what and remember, people at home, remember I said this, if we like someone, we'll like their message. There's really no difference between Bill Belichick and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan tried to get best out of his teammates by riding them, ridiculing them, sometimes outright being disrespectful towards them. Coach Belichick got 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl wins, and now Skip Bayless is calling him a troll, calling him a tyrant. I thought the ends justify the means. We just spent last week talking about the ends justify the means. Shannon, you can't argue with the results. 6-0 is 6-0. Now, all of a sudden, you don't like Bill Belichick. He's a tyrant. He's a troll. Tom Brady is happy to get out from under his thumb. And now this? Come on, Skip. You can't have it both ways. Remember, I knew there was a time come that I would be able to throw this back in your face. Now Coach Belichick is a tyrant. Now, how dare he speak to the GOAT like that? But you had no problem with Michael Jordan, did it? So what was the difference, Skip? If the ends justify the means, in other words, by any means necessary to get the outcome that we seek, what is the difference between Coach Belichick and Michael Jordan besides you like one and dislike the other?
Michael Jordan was playing extreme high-level basketball while Belichick was merely coaching. Belichick played lacrosse at Wesleyan. He's not very athletic. He's a little Napoleonic figure, while Jordan was winning 10 scoring titles and a Defensive Player of the Year and 9 first-team all-defensive players and MVPs right and left. He should have won MVP every year. And Shannon, he was saying, you have to follow my lead. I need you to play up to my level. While Belichick was a failed coach in Cleveland. He lost 4 out of 5 seasons. 4 out of 5 years in Cleveland, Belichick had a losing record and he got fired. He went 5-11 his first year in New England with Drew Bledsoe at quarterback. And then he started the next year 0-2, and Tom Brady fell out of heaven into his lap. I'm sorry, I don't know what Belichick did to earn the right to ridicule Tom Brady. He got away with it because Tom Brady let him, not for 1 year or 2, but for 20 years. He let him get away with all that ridicule and sarcasm for the greater good of winning championships, and it worked. But trust me, Brady knew from the start he was 75% of what was right about the Patriots to about 25% of the credit that went to Coach Belichick.
But see, here's the thing, Skip, and you try to, every time we talk about Coach Belichick and what he's been able to accomplish over the last 20 years, you go back to Cleveland. Some of the greatest successes started out as failures. You know that, I know that. If you go out through history, I can assure you, Thomas Edison didn't create the light bulb on his very first. Graham Bell didn't create the telephone on his first try. But you want to think people are successful at the very first thing they do, and voila, here we go. No, I won't let you get off the hook. You praised Michael Jordan, punching people in the eye, demeaning people, calling them out of their names. You said, Shannon, the ends justify the means. 6-0 is 6-0. Well, 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl wins with the MVPs. How many times did they win the division? 17, 18 in a 20-year span. Now, all of a sudden, you got a problem with it, Skip. I won't let you do it. Coach Belichick did what he thought was in the best interest. He's trying to win games. So if you got to push, you got to pull, you got to kick. Even your best player, you had no problem. See, you had no problem when it was Scotty Burrell. You had no problem when it was Steve Kerr, Will Perdue, or anyone else. But Lord and behold, Coach Belichick got that stranglehold on your GOAT, and he making him bad. Do it. Do it again. Tommy, what the hell are you thinking? Do you know what the coverage is? We studied this all week, and you still make a mistake. Tommy, what the hell is going on? You're throwing the ball like the guys Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Put it in his chest. That bothers you. So in other words, as long as it's somebody that you don't like, ride him all you want. But if it's somebody you like, don't get on him like that. If it's somebody we like, You can ride the person all you want. If somebody you don't like, you can't get on him like that. What he's earned, he's a 6-time Super Bowl winning coach. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's a 2-time coach of the year, and he's the greatest coach to ever coach in the NFL. That's what he is. And so by that proxy, he's earned the right to criticize Tom Brady, Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Brady, the Jr. Coach Belichick has earned, Coach Belichick has earned the right to criticize and to ride all 4 of those people. And that's what he did. And it resulted, like you tell me all the time, in 6 Super Bowls with 6 game-winning drives. And if Coach Belichick hadn't ridden him like that, it'd have never happened.
Did you just compare Tom Brady to Scotty Burrell and Steve Kerr and Will Perdue? I think you just did. You're making my point for me. Shannon Sharpe, go ahead.
No, what I said, as long as his players like Scotty Burrell and Will Perdue and Steve Kerr, Skip Bayless is okay with it. But at the end of the day, are they not men? Do they not have wives? Do they not have kids? Do they deserve less respect than Tom Brady because he the GOAT? Oh, no, Skip. You see, I knew this day was coming. I just didn't know when, Skip. I knew it was going to come, that I was going to get an opportunity, that everything you said for the last 2 weeks, and you up there dancing. You like Michael Jackson at the Motown Award. You moonwalking. You doing all that boogaloo. And now look at you, squirming in the hot seat. No. I got them bright lights on you in the interrogating room. I got you. I'm Joe Friday. Just the facts, sir. Just the facts.
Yeah, just the facts. I'm going to give you the facts. Steve Kerr was lucky to be on that team. Scotty Burrell, lucky to be on that team. Will Perdue from Vanderbilt University, really, really lucky to be on that team, as were all the other just another guys who went down that roster. Winnington, Luke Longley, Randy Brown, Judd Buechler. He took every one of those just ordinary guys and he said, I'm going to pick on your weakness and I'm going to turn it into a playoff strength that I can utilize and capitalize on in key moments in postseason runs. And he did it to every one of them. We're talking about the GOAT here, who took it just so he could keep Bill Belichick afloat in the locker room. If Tom Brady had mutinied and rebelled, from, let's say, starting in the second year, after they won their second Super Bowl against Carolina, if Tom Brady had finally stood up and said, I'm not going to take that anymore from you because I'm the reason you are you right now, it would have been over for the Patriots, and Tom Brady knew that. He was the reason they were winning Super Bowls. You made my case, and I appreciate you bringing that up. They won 6 Super Bowls because he pulled off 6 fourth-quarter game-winning drives. That's impossibly great. You can't buy that. You can't coach that. You can't create that in a coaching lab. He did it by himself for Bill Belichick, and then he allowed Bill Belichick to shame him in front of the team for the sake of the team, because he knew Belichick was trying to send a message to everybody down that roster. I'm going to do it to the top guy, and I'm going to do it to the bottom guy because I am effing Bill Belichick, and if you don't like it, hit the door. And he could get away with saying hit the door because he had the greatest quarterback who ever played, who camouflaged all of the bad decisions that Bill Belichick made picking players. He made a bunch of bad decisions, and it just didn't matter. He could pick whatever Steve Kerr or Will Perdue or Scotty Burrell he wanted to and mix and match them because he had Michael Jordan. That's why. And Michael Jordan wasn't shaming and ridiculing everybody. He was saying, yes, sir, Coach Belichick. Yes, whatever you say, sir. It's unheard of. No other quarterback today would take that. Can you imagine what Cam Newton, everybody's talking about? How about Cam Newton to Bill Belichick? Baloney. It wouldn't last an hour. Cam Newton would say, you're talking to me like that?
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Skip. But you just said everybody would have took the ridicule and Michael Jordan calling them out of their name. You said everybody would have took that to win championships. So why wouldn't everybody, if you tell a quarterback you're going to win 6 Super Bowls over the next 20 years, why wouldn't they take tough coaching? You see what you did, Skip? You see, Coach Bell, you said, well, the reason why Michael Jordan was riding on Scotty Burrell, he knew that down the road he needed to count on him. So that game 3 against New Jersey, when he scored 23 points in 24 minutes, that was that.
Minutes.
Steve Kerr, when he hit that shot, Michael Jordan hit him in his eye because he knew he needed to count on him. Well, Coach Belichick rolled the brakes off that mule because he knew he needed him to carry the load at some point in time. And you keep talking about Steve Kerr, and these guys should have been happy to be on the roster. Tom Brady should have been happy to be on the roster. When have you known them to keep a 6th-round draft pick quarterback and keep 4 of them on the roster? So he should have been happy. Skip, I ain't gonna let you get away with it, brother. I got these hot lights on you today. I got you in this interrogating room, and you're not going until you answer the questions. Did you order the code red?
I'm in my loft down here in the flats, down here.
Don't worry about it. No.
In lower, west side of L.A. here. I'm not up in your palatial estate. I think you have me confused with somebody that you have stuck up in your palatial estate up in Bel Air. I'm sorry. I'm actually free down here. I got my 2 little sort of 50-cent lights up here. I don't know. I'm not feeling that hot right now. I don't feel like my seat is that hot. I got a fan going. It's pretty cool down here because I am roasting you with what happened in New England. I am roasting you because Michael Jordan was saying, hey, I'm going to lead it by word and deed. Bill Belichick just leads in word. That's all. Just scathing ridicule.
And guess what he said?
Michael Jordan saying, follow my lead because I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to be by far the best player in the league, and I'm going to pick on you in practice, and I'm going to make you the best player you can be. And that's what he did with all those other cogs in his system, while Belichick is getting away with being able to ridicule the Michael Jordan of the NFL. Are you kidding me? Do you realize how blessed Bill Belichick was? It's unheard of. Do you think Drew Brees would put up with that? Do you think any other of the great quarterbacks we've seen in this league, there's no way anybody would have put up with what Tom Brady put up with?
Skip, what made Coach Belichick made this work is because I've been on teams and I've been places and I've seen coaches treat one guy differently. And it's like, well, when he made a mistake, you ain't say nothing. So why you on me? Coach Belichick wouldn't let that happen. That's why guys bought into it, because he held Tom Brady to the same standard he held everybody else. And he held everybody else to the same standard he held Tom Brady. That's why it worked. Skip, you told me the ends justify the means by any means. So no matter what somebody does, as long as it turns out to be they win, that's okay. So you telling me what quarterback in the history of time, if I give you an opportunity, you got to take tough coaching, but you're going to go to 9 Super Bowls and you're going to win 6. Which quarterback turns that down? None of them. Now, Skip, I remember that's Machiavellian. Machiavellian, the Dark Prince, and you read literature, you love that kind of stuff. He said the ends justify the means, Skip. So by any means, I'm not going to really tell you what he said about becoming, if you're the prince, that's why they call him the Dark Prince, and you want to become king, the ends justify the means. Read the book and you know exactly what I'm talking about, Skip. But you think you're slick, and I caught you.
How did you catch me? I explained to you that this man is ecstatic because he's out from under Belichick, and now he can reinvent a culture like Belichick's, except he's going to play Belichick and Brady at the same time for Tampa Bay. Watch what he does to that team. He's going to teach that. He's going to be like a good Belichick, a benign Belichick in Tampa. He'll be the leader, and he'll be the quarterback winner and the GOAT.
So, in other words, you don't believe this is Tom Brady. Tom Brady is doing something that's totally out of character. Or this is Tom Brady and he's finally showcasing this side of himself. Which is it? Is this is either not him or he's finally showcasing who he really is on IG. Which is it, Skip?
He's free.
Jenny, you heard that. So he said Tom Brady is a fraud. That's what he said.
Free.
No mercy.
After After a stellar rookie season, Baker Mayfield talked big about the hype leading into 2019. His play fell short, however, as he threw for fewer touchdowns and more interceptions than as a rookie. Now the Browns QB says he's ready to let his play do the talking. Talking to reporters yesterday, Baker said, quote, "It's just time to work, do our thing instead of talking about it." So, Shannon, I start with you. How much better do you expect Baker Mayfield to be this season?
Well, guys, I really expect his numbers to be in line more with his rookie season, Skip. I always believe that he's going to be a double-digit interception guy because he has the utmost confidence in his arms, and he's willing to take unnecessary risk. And so I believe his interception total, Skip. I remember I think you labeled him a careful gambler, but if you look at his interception total, that's not careful, and that's a lot of gambling with not being careful, without being cautious. And so, Skip, I think his numbers will be more in line with his rookie season, somewhere between 24 and maybe 28 touchdowns. But I still believe he'll always be a team interception guy, kind of like a Brett Favre, because that's his style. He's willing to take unnecessary risks, Skip. I think the thing is, for me, Skip, I do not believe in sophomore slumps. I believe in guys having great rookie seasons, thinking they have it figured out, and they can rest on their laurels. Because Peyton Manning didn't have no sophomore slump. You look at some of these great guys. Eric Dickerson didn't have no sophomore slump. Adrian Peterson. There are a lot of guys that didn't have slumps. You know why? Because they don't think they figured it out, and they go back to the drawing board. Because you got to realize, Skip, now, the defenses, they're gonna figure out, well, damn, he was good. How did he do all that? And they're going to come up with try to ways. So the moment you think you figured out, well, hey, man, this thing was so easy. Man, this thing is easy, man. It ain't hard. The NFL is not nearly as hard as they made it out to be. It's not as nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. Okay, gotcha. And I agree. I like the fact, Skip, he says, I'm going to do less talking. I'm going to do more playing. Because sometimes, every time somebody said, well, Baker needs to do this or take a shot at him, he would get strolled to the podium and take a shot back at them. Bruh, you looking terrible. You just threw 3 picks, and you're talking about what somebody said on a talk show? You should be worried about those interceptions that you're throwing, getting your team into the end zone and winning games after me put you guys in the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, I picked them to win the division. So you got me up here lying, and got me looking crazy, and you started talking trash to everybody else that has a talk show. So, Skip, I believe he will have Odell says he's healthy. Jarvis is going to be Jarvis. Skip, I think the big acquisition of Austin Hooper gives them a tight end that can get downfield, that can work the intermediate area. And we know what Nick Chubb is. Nick Chubb is a bell cow workhorse back. They still have Kareem Hunt. So I expect his number. If he's going to do off the field, if he's going to do what he says, Skip, he's going to keep his mouth closed, his head down, his ears closed, and work. I believe Baker Mayfield is due for a bounce-back season.
I can't tell you how much I hope you're right about everything you just said. I still love Baker. I believe in Baker. You know that before that draft, I said I'm picking that guy number 1 overall when nobody was talking about that guy going number 1, and Cleveland took him number 1 overall. And he lit it up when he finally got his chance under Hugh Jackson to actually play. In the games he played in as a rookie, they went 7-7. Not great, but some spectacular moments in the 7 wins. 27 touchdown passes to only 14 interceptions, still double-digit to your point, and I agree with you. The Baker I knew at the University of Oklahoma was a careful gambler, and I saw a lot of that his rookie year. I did not see that last year. I just saw a gambler. I saw a desperate gambler. I saw a Baker who was trying to force balls to Odell Beckham Jr. and occasionally to Jarvis Landry, and it just went completely haywire on him. And I'm with you. I'm glad he seemed to be having a slice of humble pie yesterday. Baker, you can't keep blaming your critics for your failures. It just won't work long term. Right. You're coming off as big mouth Baker, and you're just painting the target on your back bigger and bigger, as did your Progressive insurance commercials last year that seemed to run every other commercial. You didn't deserve them yet, Baker. You hadn't earned them yet. And Progressive is based in Cleveland. They fell in love with you and your mystique and your it factor. And all of a sudden, every other commercial, it's about your house, which is your stadium. And they were clever and they were cute and I liked them, but boy, they just beat me over the head. And they beat every one of your opponents over the head until your opponents just said, no, we're going to put a stop to those commercials. And Shannon, by the end of the year, as you kept using this word, it's like he should have been doing commercials for regressive insurance, not progressive, because he was regressing through his second year. And I couldn't defend it anymore. But Shannon, this team made so many great moves, except one. I loved all the moves. They gave Baker 2 new tackles. The kid from Alabama that they drafted, he's going to go to left tackle. Yeah, and Jack Conklin's going to go to right tackle, and I think it's going to I think it's going to boost up the protection. I think it will. It should.
Yes.
So there's no more excuse there, Baker. And you brought up Austin Hooper. Matt Ryan threw him almost 100 balls last year, and he caught 75 of them and made his second Pro Bowl. And not only do you have Austin Hooper as a pure pass-catching tight end, I'm not saying he's Shannon Sharpe, but he's pretty good. And you're getting Njoku back, who you lost at mid-year when he fractured his wrist. He's pretty good. And as Shannon brought up, you don't have one runner. You got 2 stud runners. You got 2 starting running backs, with Kareem Hunt being the sort of the lightning to the thunder of Nick Chubb. So you got that going. You got Kevin Stefanski and Shannon. Maybe if you look at what Stefanski did last year, I guess he called the plays. Kubiak had a lot of input also, but again, what did they do for Kirk Cousins last year? They just ran the ball. They just ran Dalvin, Latavius. They just ran the ball, right? And tried to keep Kirk Cousins out of harm's way as much as possible. Right. Well, maybe that's the MO. But my point to you, my bottom line to this is, the reason I fear for Baker this year, no more excuses. Seed is getting hotter and hotter. And yet there's one move they didn't make. They did not trade Odell. I thought they were. There were all these rampant reports, speculation. Remember, he was going to be traded to Minnesota. Minnesota had lost Stephon to Buffalo. And I thought, sweet deal. Well, all of a sudden it didn't happen, and they're going forward with both Odell and Jarvis and Hooper and the 2 running backs. Listen, I have nothing personal against Odell, but Shannon, I don't think you can win with him. He's like, in sort of presence, he's like Cam Newton. He has huge presence. He like Cam can't be a backup quarterback. It's either starter or bust for Cam. And I still think somebody's going to give him a shot to be a starter somewhere down the line. Not now. But with Odell, it's either star or bust. And remember, Odell, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, posted a new video in which he was talking about his injuries and his surgery. And in the video, he said, I was pretty much effed up the whole year. So he had some kind of hernia, sports hernia. I don't know what it was exactly, but he got it fixed. He got it surgically repaired. And Jarvis had hip surgery. So whatever excuses you could make for either one of those guys, I think they're going to be full speed ahead. So I don't think you can win with Odell. The Giants paid him all that money and then realized they made a huge mistake, and they dumped out. They got out of it. They said, we're done. More trouble than you're worth. I don't think Odell's ever going to be happy in Cleveland, Ohio, unless you're throwing him 20 balls a game and he's catching 15 of them. He wants to star more than he wants to win. And when he's dominating your huddle and your meeting rooms, it's just like, feed me. I need to be fed. It's hard to win that way. And Baker likes him. They hang out, they socialize. And Baker's kind of into Odell's star power. And his trouble last year, he kept trying to force it to Odell when Odell was a shell of himself. And Odell puts up career-low numbers across the board, and he still threw him 133 passes. He threw Jarvis 138. So they both were not right. And the guy who paid for it was the regressive quarterback. So, Shannon, I hope it works out. I still think he could have a big bounce back. But I don't know how you deal with Odell Beckham Jr. because he can't just be a complimentary receiver, and that's how it sets up. I mean, how many targets he had 133 balls thrown to him. With Austin Hooper and Njoku and those two running backs, help me out. 100? 90? 80? Tell me. I mean, seriously, I don't see it, and he's not going to be a happy camper.
Well, Skip, in the West Coast, and that's what they're going to run. And this is Gary Kubiak offense that he brought from Mike Shanahan that they got from San Francisco, Skip. It's a lot of play action. It's a lot of boots. If you look at it, when they had Diggs, they had Thielen, they tried to simplify it because they put Kirk Cousins, because he is athletic, and I believe Baker is more athletic than Cousins, they put him on the move.
Yeah.
And you're right, Skip. The likelihood of you getting 150 targets and Jarvis getting 150 targets and Hooper getting 100 targets, Skip, that ain't very good. That's a lot of targets.
The math.
For three,
no, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't add up. And so, Skip, in order for you to be successful, when you look at what we did in Denver, now, if one of these guys were like Jerry Rice, Jerry got the lion's share of the targets, Skip, when he was at San Francisco. Even they had John Taylor, and later they had J.J. Stokes, and T.O. end up coming in, Skip. But unless Odell's going to take off like that, but here's the thing. JT knew that Jerry was going to get the targets, and he was cool with that. I don't know if Jarvis like, well, hold on, bro. I went to 2 Pro Bowls. I had 100 catches before you got here. I don't know if Jarvis is going to be cool with that if all of a sudden Odell targets go up, his come down. So, but I believe they're going to run the football a lot more. And remember, we talked about it, Skip. I'm like, look, y'all got Nick Chubb. Dude averaging 100, 115 a game. And you guys trying to throw the football around to try to appease those two guys outside. You're pleasing them because you're giving them targets, but you're losing games. I thought the objective was to win games, not to appease wide receivers. So you're going to have to make a decision, and Stefanski's going to have to make a decision. He's going to have to put his foot down. Guys, we're trying to win games. And if in the course of winning the game, we can get you 8 targets, we can get you 10 targets, so be it. But if Nick Chubb is running the ball, if Kareem Hunt's running the ball, you might get 5 targets.
You might. Shannon, they went 6-10 last year, and Freddie K, as you called him, out. What are we up to for Baker now? Are we on his 4th head coach in his NFL career? I know he's had 3. Was there an interim in there? I don't know.
Hugh Jack, Greg Williams, Freddie K, and now 4. You're right. Yeah. Stefanski's 4th.
4 head coaches in 2 years, that's hard. So I give him that, but I don't think the NFL world is going to give him any pass this year, any excuse.
No.
I think he's on the hottest seat of any young quarterback in the league because everybody's waiting to see, are you going to bounce back or not? Because, Shannon, you made a great point about year 2 is usually the quantum leap year. It was for Mahomes. It was for Lamar. I think it will be for Kyler, not for Baker. So now it's got to be year 3. Are you going to return to rookie form? You better, or you're going to start reading stories about how they're looking for another quarterback.
I think the thing that hurt Baker, Skip, is that the difference between he and Lamar, Skip, is that they talked about Lamar's inability to throw the football. And he went back to the lab, and he worked on that. Everybody talked about Baker in year 1, how well he threw the football. So he didn't have the criticism that faced Lamar Jackson in his inability to throw the football. Everybody's like, man, look at Baker. Man, that's, Baker throwing. And so he's sitting back like, yeah, man, I got this thing all figured out. Well, Lamar Jackson was in the lab. So we're going to see, Skip, year 3 is going to be a telltale season for Baker Mayfield because, you can't have this wealth of talent. Like you mentioned, right tackle Jack Conklin, Jarrett Willis with the top 10 pick, and you got Jarvis and Odell, and you got Hooper and Njoku. Hey, bro, you got to produce now.
Ooh.
You got as much talent as any quarterback in football. You got to produce this year.
We'll see. I have faith.
No mercy.
NFL.com ranked the league's most explosive rushers based on their percentage of runs of 15-plus miles per hour. Topping the list was Lamar Jackson, followed by 9 running backs. One glaring omission from the top 10 was Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott. First of all, wow, Lamar, but Shannon, how do you explain this Zeke off the list?
Because I've really never looked at Zeke as an explosive running back, Skip. I think the thing is for you is that you haven't gotten over what you saw when he was at Ohio State, and especially what he did in the sophomore year over those last 4 games. You fell in love then, and you've been smitten with Zeke Elliott and his running style ever since then. Skip, there have been very few backs in NFL history that could wear you down, carry the ball 25, 30 times, put their foot in the dirt, and go 80+. The only ones that's off the top of my head is Adrian Peterson and Eric Dickerson. I'm talking about bell cow backs. Carry it 25, 30 times, and then boom, they can go 60 yards. Well, Skip, OJ really wasn't a bell cow back. OJ was a slipper and slider. Adrian Peterson, Skip, ran to contact. You know, I'm surprised that he's been able to be as successful as he has with his running style. Adrian Peterson still can go get you 100 yards on a given Sunday. So when I look at Zeke, Skip, in 2016, his rookie season, he had 8 runs of 25 yards or more. In 2017, it was 4. But remember, Skip, he missed, 6 games? Okay, so they might have been the same thing. Last year, he led the league with 4 runs of 25 yards. This season, 4 runs of 25 yards. Skip, I don't look at him as a guy that stick his foot in the dirt and get gone. Like Saquon. See, you talk about Saquon because Saquon, he 1 yard, he's 2 yards, he's 55. But you want that from Zeke. Yeah. Zeke is a pound guy, 3 yards here, 4 yards there, 2 yards, 10 yards, 1 yard. That's what he is. He's not that guy, Skip, that'll stick his foot in the dirt and can hit his head on the goalpost. And so for me, Skip, when I look at Zeke, I look at him as a bell cow back. He's sturdy. He's just going to wear you down. But if you're expecting to see the Zeke that you saw at Ohio State this sophomore season, especially over those last 4 games, Skip, that guy ain't coming back. It's over. That guy is not coming back.
Shannon, he ran 4.47 at the combine. He goes 225. Mm-hmm. He was, I thought, Eric Dickerson, or at least a reasonable facsimile. I thought OJ was more of a bell cow back because he was the first to ever go in 14 games over 2,000 yards. Yeah. But OJ was 225 and could run, I don't know what he ever timed, but he was 4.4, might have been 4.3. Eric Dickerson ran in the 4.2s, I believe. Yeah, there you go. So, again, were Eric and OJ at their peak faster than Zeke? Yes, they were. They're all they're in the ballpark of the same size as far as weight goes. Mm-hmm. They're built differently. Yeah. Both OJ and Eric are built taller and longer than Zeke, who's a little stouter. But the point is, I saw burst his rookie year. Even though he only played, 8 games his second year, I saw flashes of dash. I saw home run hitter. I saw a guy in his first 2 NFL seasons, Shannon, who would have been at or at least near the top of this list if it had been made at those points in his career. It horrifies me to say, as I told you, and again, I first guessed this, I'm not 20/20 hindsight. I didn't see it last year the way I saw it before. My line to you constantly, my refrain on this show was, he looks like he's still running in Cabo San because he was training down in Cabo San Lucas. And obviously he came back and Jerry Jones caved in and gave him his $90 million. And I believe that it's stories and analyses like this one that make Jerry feel like he does occasionally when he stays all night, as he calls it, honky-tonking. When he comes in and he's hadn't slept and he's feeling a little queasy and his head's throbbing and maybe he needs an Excedrin or a Tylenol. And that's how this is making him feel because Zeke just wasn't quite right. And my stats are a little different than ones you use, but I'll go 2 different areas. There are 10-plus yard runs and 20-plus yard runs. And the 10s, if we just take his full seasons, we discount 2017, but if we go the 10-plus yard runs, he had 48 when he was a rookie. That's really good. then 41 the next full season, 2018, and last year down to 38. Not terrible, but you see a little decline. And then in 20-plus yard runs, he had 14 when he was a rookie, then 11 in 2018, and all the way down to only 4 last year. From 14 as a rookie to 4 20-plus yard runs, not right. Something amiss here. And I've told you this before. And again, I love the guy. I'm just trying to call the facts. But if you look at his yards per game, they have declined all 4 of his years. So it doesn't matter how many games you played in 2017. I'm just going yards per contest, per football game. And he had 109 yards a game as a rookie. That'll work. Then it goes down to 98, 96, and last year 85, which was obviously his career low. Okay, so we're going a little bit more. And I don't know. Is he starting to already sort of fade out? We know what was the old cliche number that we used to hear about the running back position. The shelf life of a running back in the National Football League, I've heard this for like 30 years, is 2.5 years. Well, did his shelf life start to run out? I don't know. How could he not even make this list? How could he not make it over number 10, Chris Carson, who got hurt up in Seattle last year, as you know? But really, Zeke over Chris Carson? I don't know. Todd Gurley was just a shell of himself. He's 8th on this list. And I can just keep going backwards and say, really? Philip Lindsay? I like him. I like him. I know he's a little quicker and has a little better burst, but
he can
Philip
run.
Lindsay's one? He can run. No, I got it. Aaron Jones, I told you last year, he was more valuable than Aaron Rodgers, but still, this is Zeke we're talking about.
I think the thing is, Skip, is that as you mentioned, as Zeke goes here, we've watched Dak passing go here. So you can't have the running back go here, and the quarterback go here. Something's going to have to give. Remember, that was the trade-off we just talked about in the last segment. If Nick Chubb is running the ball like we think he is, those targets for those outside receivers are not going to be there. Well, Dak Prescott almost threw for 5,000 yards, Skip. You throw for 5,000 yards, your running back is not going to be going over, 100, like you said, I think you said he had 109 his rookie year, and then he had, 90-something his 90-something. So that's
98,
going to creep
96,
down.
85.
Right,
okay.
So that's going to creep down.
Go ahead. To your point, here are his carries per game for his 4 years. Rookie, 22 carries a game. Then it goes up to 24 carries a game in his second year. Then it goes down to 20 in 2018. And last year it went down one notch to 19. So it's not dramatic, but last year it went from 20 in 2018 down to 19 last year. Again, slight, just slight coming down, devaluing. Go ahead.
But think about this, Skip. Zeke averages about 4.5 yards a carry. So from 22 his rookie year down to 19, that's 4.5 yards. So you look at that 13.5 yards. Put that 13.5 yards onto that 85, and now you back in business, aren't you? So you take 98 yards rushing per game, and that's what's happened with Zeke. As Dak is starting to increase and they started to throw the ball more, a lot of that has to do also, Skip. Remember, think about how many times you come in there on Monday and you bang the desk about how your Cowboys started slow. Now you start slow. You find yourself down 14, 17, 21 points. You basically neutralize Zeke. Teams, you're like, we can't run Zeke. You're not going to run your way back into a ball game. So Dak ends up throwing. He's having 35, 40-plus throws a game, and Zeke ends up with in the team carries per game. So I think that impacted it. But when you look at Skip, when you look at Zeke, you watch Christian McCaffrey. He gets a crease, and he looks like he's moving. You look at some of these other guys, Skip, they look like they're moving. Zeke looks like a plow horse. He looks like a guy he's getting 4 or 5 yards, but he doesn't look explosive. When Saquon hits a crease, Skip, Saquon looks like he's moving. And some of these other guys, Lamar Jackson Skip, I don't even know why they put Lamar in there, because Lamar is is on another level
Well,
right now as far as generating speed.
But he's a ball carrier. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, yeah.
Well, the point is, I want everybody to understand. Yeah, these are, when we're talking about explosive, this list is only of people who carry the football. It's not about the receivers.
Right.
So we're just talking about running backs, and they're considering Lamar, a part-time running back, because obviously he does carry it some. So that's why he's number one on the list. But Shannon, what was my most tormenting stat last year that I gave you a couple of times? Speaking of bell cow back, remember on first down last year, Zeke had the second most carries in the league on first down. Because again and again, they said, okay, let's establish our bell cow. And yet, his yards per attempt on first down ranked 18th. Okay, so you got the second most carries, but the 18th worst yards per carry on first down. Well, you know what was happening? 1 yard, 0 yards, -1. 1 yard, 0, -1. It just kept going like that. And I kept, like pulling my hair out, pacing, watching these things, because I'm saying you can't keep asking Dak to try to figure out 2nd and 11, and it becomes 3rd and 10 or whatever. You know how it is. If you play behind the chains, you're going to find yourself at home behind Green Bay 31-3, and that's what they were. They were down 31-3 at home to a Green Bay team I still think that was overrated, that did not have an explosive offense, but that day it sure looked explosive against my defense, and that's a whole nother story. But again, they were not able to ball control the way they used to.
Well, that goes into your point, because if you're just running into the line of scrimmage, Skip, you're not getting an opportunity to generate any speed. So that's why he didn't have enough runs in which he reached the threshold of 15 miles per hour. So they said he had 11% of his runs. He reached a speed of at least 15 miles per hour. The 10 other guys in front of him, that was 18%. So to your point, if you give him the ball on first down and you run him into the line of scrimmage, how much speed do you think he's going to be able to generate, Skip, from 6 yards to the line of scrimmage in which they stop him?
Right.
So you got to give him creases. So we'll see if he can hit those creases like some of these other guys got in the season, if that can bump up, Skip. But if they fall behind, as long as they don't fall behind by 14, 17 points, Skip, I believe Zeke numbers will creep back into the 90 rush yards per game. But if you keep falling behind, the numbers are going to keep dipping.
Yep, I agree. And my final point to you is Zeke's yards, especially last year, all look like what I call hard yards, high effort yards, trying to run through brick wall kind of yards. And maybe, what kept happening last year, Shannon, is they're in the shotgun, Zeke's just to the left of Dak, and it's like a hot potato. He catches a snap and just hands it to Zeke like, go somewhere, go find a hole.
Right.
Well, that's not exactly creative. So maybe Mike McCarthy will say, we gotta clever this up a little bit. We gotta get him out in space a little better. We gotta toss it to him. We gotta do a little more misdirection with him. We gotta do some things that will fool people, instead of saying we're going to run this down your throat, because it did not work last year.
I think, Skip, when you look at San Francisco, they don't have the offensive line that the Cowboys have. They use creativity. The Cowboys says, we have this great offensive line. We're just going to move people off the ball. And when you can't move someone off the ball, Zeke is the one that suffers for that. So hopefully, as you mentioned, you have a top 5 offensive line. Mike McCarthy can bring some creativity. Yep. You might see Zeke have a bounce-back season and where he gets 1,600, 1,700 rush yards. It's going to be interesting to see, Skip. But they have all those receivers. What do you do with CeeDee Lamb if Zeke's running for 1,700 yards? That means CeeDee, Amari, and Gallup not going to have all those big days, Skip.
No mercy.
All right, guys, Clyde Drexler responded to Michael Jordan, who said he was offended when he was compared to Drexler when the two met in the finals. Drexler said it was obviously all from Jordan's perspective since it was his documentary. The Hall of Famer also said it's a team game and not an individual competition, and added this quote, "I didn't take 35 shots and get 20 free throws a night, so I wasn't going to score 40 points a night." Shannon, you like what Drexler said?
I did, Skip. I mean, because, look, like Clyde said, and like a lot of people said, this documentary was supposed to be The Last Dance, but basically it was a kind of a biographical, autobiography of Michael Jordan. And so it's from his perspective and all his highlights, and he bashed a lot of people. And Clyde was like, hold on, wait a minute. Now, I'm not saying I'm your equivalent, but I wasn't fettuccine either. I was on the dream team. I'm an all NBA player, if I'm not mistaken, Skip. He's like, I've gone to finals, didn't win any, but I was an accomplished player in my own right. And I'm just not going to just sit here, and because every time someone came up, it's like, well, the glove was no threat, and I was offended. Well, hell, if you were that offended and you nobody was a threat, why the hell you didn't win 14 championships? So clearly somebody played better. Oh, I forgot, the teams. Right, the team game. That's good. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. I can see you. You do realize I can see you, Skip, right? You do. I got a TV monitor. Unlike you, I have a TV monitor. I can see what you're doing. But, Skip, look, I understand Clyde, Skip, because you've been around this game too long, Skip. You know guys have pride, and guys will concede, yeah, this guy's better than me. Okay, fine. But when you just keep it openly and blatantly just like, oh, man, that guy was nothing. Like, wait a minute. I'm an all-star, too. I'm a 10, 11, 12-time all-star. I'm an all-NBA player. Yes, I went to the finals, didn't win, but come on, bruh. Don't just dismiss me like I was the 13th guy on the bench. And so for me, Skip, I was glad Clyde stood up for himself. And I guess from the documentary that was edited out, a lot of other people stood up for themselves too. But we didn't get an opportunity to see that. That did with Skip. Because The Last Dance supposedly been about the Chicago Bulls and The Last Dance. It turned into Michael Jordan's swan song. So that's neither here nor there about that. To his point about Kareem and Wilt, Skip, I don't know, for whatever the reasons are, we never give the big men the love that we give small guys, maybe because they're big. As Wilt Chamberlain once says, no one roots for Goliath. Everybody always is praying and pulling for David. And I think that's what we have here, Skip, because these two big men, Kareem was 24-11 for a career, 6-time champ, 6-time MVP, more than any other player, Skip. And Wilt, Skip, I know we say Shaq's dominant, but nobody was more dominant than Wilt Chamberlain, Skip. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 30 points, 23 rebounds for a career. Skip, the guy got six 70-point games. The rest of the NBA got 5. And he has 118 50-point games. The next closest is Michael Jordan with 31. So the numbers that we see these guys, and Kareem is a 19-time All-Star. I don't know if we'll ever see anybody put up numbers like Wilt. But the big guy doesn't get any love, Skip, because they are big. Because everybody assumes you're supposed to do that because you are big.
Okay. So, I know Clyde Drexler little. I like Clyde Drexler a lot. But I am not going to let you, Shannon Sharpe, use Clyde's jealousy of Michael Jordan to try to undercut the Jordan GOAT argument. That's what you're trying to do. See, there's another guy. There's another guy. Shannon, to use the oldest cliche in sports, I'm sorry, but Clyde couldn't carry Michael's jock strap.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip.
That's
don't
the
do
gap.
That.
That's the gap between Clyde Drexler and Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Clyde did win. He did win the one finals. Remember when he was back in Houston?
Oh, yeah,
with
Houston.
Team.
With Houston, yes.
But,
yeah.
Okay, but he won it because Michael was playing baseball. He played in 2 others, and unfortunately, he had to meet Michael head to head, and he got Michael right between the eyes because you know what happened before Game 1 of Bulls Portland. Somehow Michael convinced himself that a guy who was no threat to him, Clyde Drexler, because by 92, Michael was universally acknowledged as the best player and certainly the best 2-guard on earth.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, Michael convinced himself before Game 1 that somehow Clyde was being built up by the media as beyond Michael Jordan. And remember what he did? All I have to do is do this and do this and do this, because he did it 6 times. He hit 6 threes in the first half. And Shannon, that's the same Michael Jordan who averaged taking 3 threes a game that year. He attempted 3 a game, 3.1, and he made 6 in the first half just to say, watch this, Clyde Drexler, and then watch this, and this. And Shannon, even if I go back to what happened in their respective national championship college games, Michael hit the last shot, the game-winning shot. He announced his presence when everybody thought he was Mike Jordan, as you know, against Georgetown for your beloved North Carolina. And he did that as a true freshman. He hit that shot. And then Clyde, for what was called Phi Slamma Jamma, and they were historically great. They reached the final against an 8 seed, North Carolina State. And you know what happened? The biggest upset in college basketball history happened in that national championship game. I was there at courtside in Albuquerque in 1983. And Clyde had a miserable game because he got in foul trouble. I think he had 4 fouls by halftime. And he wound up scoring a grand total of 4 points in that game when he averaged 16 and 9 for Phi Slamma Jamma. And you know what happened? Air ball, dunk at the buzzer, 54-52.
Lorenzo Charles.
So, again, Lorenzo Charles. So that's Clyde's legacy. That's his resume. And so I'm sorry, I'm even ashamed that we're having this conversation, because was Michael selfish? Was he a ball hog? I don't know. He won 10 scoring titles because he was the best scorer in the history of the game. So I don't know. I don't think I need to defend that. He went 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs. I don't think I need to defend that.
Skip. Oh, you don't, Skip. But all I'm saying is Clyde is, because someone sticks up for themselves, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're jealous of the other person. I'm just not going to just let you keep taking shots at me and poo-poo me and make it seem like I should have been happy to be in the NBA. Skip, Clyde Drexler was a top 50 player all time. He was on the dream team. So all Clyde is saying, like, hold on, wait a minute. I get it. You're great. You're pantheon. You're one of the all-time greats, and there's no conversation in which Michael Jordan will not come up as one of the greatest players of all time or on the Mount Rushmore. I get all of that. But me taking up for myself, me defending myself, doesn't mean that I'm jealous of him. And rightfully so, Skip. Everybody else is just bowed down. Oh, yeah, you're right, Michael. Whoo, let me take a back seat to myself with all my accomplishments. No. And Skip, you got to realize, do you realize, Skip, Wilt once had a game with 55 rebounds in a game? Wilt almost has as many 60-point games as the rest of the league combined. Okay, timeout. Real quick, I'm going to get to that. But Clyde Drexler, for the record, was a late add to the Dream Team. He didn't make the original. I think they started with 10, and it came down to him or Isaiah. That's what they announced. 6 months after the original formation of the Dream Team, they needed to add 2 players, an 11th and a 12th man. The 11th man was Clyde Drexler. The 12th was a college player because they wanted one college player, so they picked Christian Laettner. Okay, now, to Kareem and Wilt. So Clyde is saying he's offended by all this talk about is the GOAT Jordan or LeBron, when both Kareem and Wilt should be right in the thick of that conversation and debate. No, wrong, Clyde, wrong, Shannon. I'm sorry, but Wilt and Kareem neither had what I call winners' intangibles. Neither was a leader of the basketball team. If you look at Kareem's resume, if you look at his trail, again, he played in 10 finals, but in the first 2, he had Oscar Robertson. And in the last 8, he had Magic Johnson. So, Shannon, I dare you to look at what happened after Oscar retired in Milwaukee. While he was still in Milwaukee, he played one more season there in 1975. Go look what happened. They missed the playoffs. So the guy you're telling me could be the GOAT missed the playoffs his final year in Milwaukee.
Then he goes to the Lakers the next year, 76, and they went 40-42 and missed the playoffs because there was no Magic Johnson. And Kareem played 4 years without Magic.
That season they missed the playoffs. Can you tell? I said the year they went 40-42, tell the people at home what happened. Who was the MVP that season? That's how dominant he was.
I don't know.
He went 40-42 and won the MVP. Yeah, no, I'm talking about Kareem.
Okay, I got it. Okay, yeah. I got it. Okay, but they missed the playoffs. Then they did get to the conference finals next year and got swept by Portland because of Bill Walton, who just completely outplayed Kareem. Don't give me GOAT. And then they lost in the first round in 78. And then they lost in the conference semifinals in 79. And then what happened? Here came Magic Johnson out of Michigan State University. And what happened when Magic was a rookie in the closeout game 6 at Philadelphia? Help me out. Kareem pulled his hamstring, could not go in that game. Yeah, and Magic played center. So Magic steps in for Kareem. The point guard plays center and goes, whatever it was, 42-15 and whatever. It was outrageous numbers. So, okay, the point was, 42-15 and 7. The point was they didn't even need Kareem to win that game. So,
Skip, you talking about one game. Do you?
I'm just saying.
Do you believe if Kareem doesn't play any of the first 5 games, do you believe the Lakers beat the Sixers without Kareem?
Given what Magic was doing to the league at that point, I wouldn't be surprised if they still would have won the series. He was that special as a rookie. Right away, he's taking over not only the team, he's taking over the league. He had such charisma. He had the greatest smile in the history of sports to me. And all of a sudden, the Lakers had a leader. Kareem was more of a follower than a leader, even at 7 feet. What was he, 7'2", I guess we called him?
7'2".
He was, extremely gifted, just extremely. He had such great finesse. He was not a driving force of the basketball team. Magic was. Now let's look at Wilt. Supremely gifted, not only skilled, but strong, big and strong, 7'1", the Big Dipper. But he played in his own galaxy. He was a solo act. I've told you the story before. I was close with the great George Casita, the late great George Casita, who covered Wilt in Philadelphia for the Bulletin back in the day. And they used to go to battle after a lot of the games. And George used to tell me, as soon as the final horn went off, Wilt came to the scorer's table and said, give me the stat sheet. Somebody give me the stat sheet. All he cared about were those outrageous numbers you're talking about. Wilt went 2-4 in the finals. Is that goatish? 2-4, that's LeBron-esque to me. That's not GOAT.
Hold on, Skip, but tell the people, you got to be fair now. Tell the people who he was losing to. He was losing to the Celtics at the time that had a minimum of 8 Hall of Famers. That's what was on that roster. One year they had 9 or 10, if I'm not mistaken. So they had Bill Russell, Sam Jones, Casey Jones, Tommy Hyson, Bob Cousy, Havlicek. Come on, Skip. Satch. Oh, my goodness. You really, Skip?
GOAT.
Really?
You're saying Wilt the Stilt was the GOAT. So come on. Whoa. You can't stop 7'1". Their tallest player, the Celtics' tallest player, was 6'9", Bill Russell. 6'9" versus 7'1", and you're telling me the GOAT couldn't GOAT?
Have Michael Jordan ever beat a team that had 3 or more Hall of Famers on it in the finals? Gary Payton in Seattle was the only one.
An Eastern Conference that was a beast.
Portland had 1. Stockton and Malone, that's only 2. So,
all right. So now you're telling me that because you have lost the GOAT argument to Michael Jeffrey Jordan, so you're saying, okay, I give up with LeBron, so now I'm on Wilt's bandwagon? So now Wilt's the GOAT over Michael Jordan, right? Is that what we're saying?
No, hold on. Hold on. You see what you do? Jenny, you see what he tries to do? All he said, what Clyde Drexler said is that you keep having these GOAT debates with LeBron and Mike. Kareem and Wilt should also be included. That's what he said. Why you always got to take, we having a discussion, and now all of a sudden you take, are you saying Will's the GOAT now? Are you saying Kareem's the GOAT now?
Okay, so I'll do this. To sum it all up, we're having a GOAT debate. Michael's the GOAT. Yeah. LeBron also ran. Wilt also ran. Kareem also ran. Okay, I did it. I put all three of the other guys in the debate, and it's over.
The GOAT is GOAT James. Go James!
No mercy. Well, it has been clear that since leaving New England, Tom Brady's persona has changed. He has started to promote his personal products more frequently from his TB12 brand. He made an appearance on the Howard Stern show and was mic'd up the entire time during the Match charity golf event. We've heard more from Brady than we typically would have under the Bill Belichick regime. So, Skip, I want to ask you about this. How do you explain the new Tom Brady?
Right now, Tom Brady is the equivalent of an 18-year-old kid who finally broke free and left home to go away to college and left behind a horribly strict and verbally abusive father. And now Tom Brady is on extended spring break down in the sunshine in Tampa, living literally right on the beach. And he has gone social media wild. He is flexing his goat oats for the first time, flexing his muscles, sowing his goat oats, if you will. And I am so happy for him because for the first time in 20 years, he is clearly so happy. He's having fun being himself in ways he never could. For 20 years that he lived under the rule of and under the thumb of Coach Troll. Bill Belichick is a dictator. He's a tyrant. He's an ogre. He's very difficult to play for. And Tom Brady allowed him to get away with it for 20 years because Tom Brady swallowed all of it. Tom Brady sacrificed his own GOAT ego for Belichick's, for the greater good of the team. He was the buffer. He was the one in the locker room who quietly kept telling all the younger players, it's okay, accept it, it's just the way he is. It's going to work out because we're going to pull together and we're going to win another Super Bowl. And in 20 years, they went to 9 and won 6 and should have won a couple of more, if not for Bill Belichick, but I'll save that for another day. Shannon, the first thing Chad Johnson told me when I got to know him so well in 2011, which was his last year in football and his only year at New England, he goes to camp the first day and Bill Belichick has a full team film session in which he pops in the tape of the previous year's finale, which was a loss to the rival Jets, the in-division rival Jets. In a playoff game in Foxborough, they lost 28-21. Brady threw for 300, but didn't play his best game. And Chad was stunned that Belichick was sarcastically ridiculing Brady throughout this full team film session, obviously sending a message. I'm going after all of you, it's especially that guy. The best guy, nobody escapes my wrath, especially number 12. They go to practice. Chad's still horrified because Belichick is all over Tom Brady. By that point, Brady had won 3 Super Bowls, should have won another one in the first Eli Super Bowl, but Belichick's defense spit the bit once again. And yet, Brady swallowed all this for all those years, and finally, he found his bliss in Tampa. He's playing for maybe as fun a coach to play for as there's ever been. Bruce Arians, a player's coach who really gets it and feels it and knows what it's like to be a player and wants them to have fun playing football. It's the flip side of everything he knew in Tampa. Now he's Tampa Bay. And I'm happy for him because, Shannon, it's going to manifest itself on the field. He's got weapons that Belichick never allowed him to have in New England. He's got firepower. He's got nuclear firepower all around him and 2 offensive coaches. Remember, the 2 head coaches of this team, including the advisor, Tom Moore, They got offensive genius. He had to play for a defensive football coach his whole career, Bill Belichick. I am so happy for him, and I'm happy we got to see, as corny and silly and cliched as this side is of him, he's having fun, and so am I watching him.
Skip, if you don't mind me asking, why is it now the methods that Michael Jordan used to get the results that he wanted, why is it a problem that Coach Belichick used the method that he used to get same said results? What's the problem?
Well, is Bill Belichick the greatest basketball player ever?
Well, he's the greatest coach
Belichick
ever.
even play?
He's the greatest coach.
Oh, really?
No.
That's highly debatable.
Skip, you've told me for the last 10 days that the ends would always justify the means. Whatever means you need to get, the outcome in the end that wins is okay. It's okay to call someone out of their name. It's okay to fight someone because at the end of the day, you're toughening them up to accomplish the ultimate goal. Now, with Coach Belichick, normally what they say, Skip, if the best player is your hardest worker, everybody else will fall into place. Well, Coach Belichick understood this. If my team see me get on the best player, everybody else will fall in place. And that's okay because the ends justify the means. Skip Bayless, I've heard him say it. Now, Coach Belichick gets labeled. I wrote down what you called him in this order. You said he was a dictator. You called him a tyrant. You called him a troll. The very thing that you did not say about Michael Jordan, although he did the exact same thing. As a player, he wasn't even the coach. Why the hell I got to listen to another player? We are the same. You might be better, but someone pays your salary. Phil Jackson was the coach. At least Bill Belichick says, I'm the coach. Can you imagine another player talking to another player like that? You see, Skip Bayless, I told you this before, and I'll say it again. If we like a player, we'll accept whatever he does. You like Michael Jordan. Many others like Michael Jordan. Coach Belichick did the exact same thing, accomplished the exact same thing, but you don't like him, so you don't like his method, and you call him those names. For me, it's hard for me to see a 43-year-old change. I think what has happened is Tom Brady feels more comfortable, and he's offered us a glimpse into his life. Remember, wasn't it just last year, Jenny, we saw him jump off a cliff with his daughter? He was in New England, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't we see him in Monaco? Was that Monaco, Skip, or somewhere that he was on, when he didn't show up? No, that was Monaco. He was riding a camel in the desert. He did that. Boston. Tom Brady, there's nothing wrong with Tom Brady. He's moved on. And now y'all can't gloat. The media, Skip, like, Tom Brady is not y'all. He belongs to Tampa now. I don't even know what I love more. I don't know if I love more because the media, they talk, we were Beantown, we win, yada, yada, yada. And the fans, the Patriots have always won. I've been supporting the Patriots since 1960. Lies. Because Skip Bayless, you've gone to New England when they played football game and they barely had 10,000. They barely had 15,000. Half the stadium was empty. You remember that. I remember it because I played in New England. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to see how loyal that fan base is. That's what we're about to see. But Tom Brady has not changed. Skip, a 43-year-old? Who waits till they get 40 to change? This is who he's always been. Now let me show you what old TB12 method. Let me show you what it's all about. Do it, Tom. Do your thing, Tom. I'm all for it. Tommy.
Back to Michael Jordan. I told you from the start, Michael was more the coach of those Bulls than Phil Jackson was. Michael was simply the greatest player who ever played in any sport. And everybody else on that team knew it. So they realized there was method to his madness. He was so driven, so hell-bent to win championships at any cost that he was going to prey on their weakness and try to turn it into a strength. And he accomplished that in every one of those down-the-line players who were just a bunch of guys. Steve Kerr, Scotty Burrell, Judd Buechler. It's a ream of players who he won with because he drove them to heights they had never even imagined for themselves. They all contributed in little big ways to winning 6 championships. And all he did was say, I'm the greatest ever. Follow me because I'm going to show you in word and deed. I'm going to pick on you and I'm going to raise you to my level. Then I'm going to go back it up. He won 6 MVPs in 6 finals. It's not like he's saying, do as I say, not as I do. He's saying, do as I do, because I do it better than anybody. So, yes. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Who, if you don't mind me asking, you say Michael Jordan was the coach. So who was the coach of the Bulls from 1984 to 1990?
Well, they had a couple, as you know.
No. So this is what I'm seeing now. So when they won, Michael Jordan was the coach. When they lost, they had a couple, be it Stan Auerbach, Kevin Lowry, Doug Collins. Oh, so that's how it worked. So Coach Belichick is saying, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to treat all of you guys the same. I don't care if you won MVPs. I don't care if you won Super Bowls or whatever your title is. If I see a correction need to be made, I'm going to make it, whether you're the quarterback or you're the punter. And that's what he did. He held everybody accountable. So I want to know, Skip, who's the head coach at Washington when Michael Jordan played with the Wizards?
Doug Collins, but that's irrelevant. I got to get back to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was coaching Michael Jordan, but his Michael Jordan realized that the only way it was going to work was for him to act like he was Steve Kerr. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. His father, Tom Brady's father, taught him, Tommy, you have to obey and honor the head coach. And he always did, even though Belichick was a failure at Cleveland. They had losing records 4 of the 5 years in Cleveland. He got fired. He went 5-11 his first year in New England. It was 0-2 when Tom Brady fell out of the sky into his lap, and history started happening. Michael Jordan, who was Tom Brady, said, you know what? The only way this is going to work for us to stay together, I got to swallow all of his crap. And he did it for 20 years until Belichick turned on him, tried to elevate Jimmy G above him, and then I think tried to sabotage him in the Super Bowl. I've said this 1,000 times on this show. When Brady throws for 505 and scores 33 on Philly, and the backup quarterback for the Eagles puts up 41 on Belichick's defense because Malcolm Butler is in the doghouse for inexplicable reasons, can't play 1 snap, and he played the most snaps of any defensive player the whole regular season. Explain that, you can't. So Tom Brady knew he was on the way out, and over the last couple of years, he would post taunting videos of him on vacation, like doing dangerous activity. I'm going to jump off this cliff with my daughter. I'm going to go up and ski Black Diamond. You know, it's all fun. It's all little shots at Bill Belichick because he was starting to break free.
Skip, you're taking a shot at somebody by putting your own life at risk or putting your child's life at risk.
Kidding.
You want to take a shot at Coach.
He's kidding.
Jumping off a cliff is not
funny.
Skip. Jumping.
He's kidding.
Skip, listen. We just saw Johnny Manziel do a backflip off a cliff.
Yeah.
Was he kidding? He almost broke his neck.
No.
All I'm Skip. The thing is, look at what Phil did. Michael did not want the triangle because the Phil's triangle was going to take the ball out of his hand. He acquiesced, won 6 titles. Tom Brady acquiesced, won 6 titles. Equal. Michael Jordan, Bill Belichick. One is the GOAT, other was the second GOAT.
No mercy.
In Mike Freeman's latest 10-point stance, he predicts that the Packers will utilize Jordan Love as more than just a long-term backup for Aaron Rodgers. He said, quote, it's almost a lock that the Packers will find some role for Love this season. While he won't replace Rodgers, he said that Love could still be a significant part of the offense. So, Shannon, how will Aaron respond to this?
Well, considering that he was very disappointed, you heard his voice, you saw his body language when he had his he had his voice call, video conference with the media. You could tell he was disappointed, and he voiced that. So I can only imagine. You mean to tell me you're going to take Aaron Rodgers off the field and let Jordan Love take snaps. Skip, I can see if you put him in a role, say like they did what they were going to do, kind of what they're going to do for Jalen Hurts or what they did for Lamar Jackson. But Jordan Love has never rushed for 50 yards in a game. Jalen Hurts had 26 of those in college. So I'm trying to figure the role in which you're going to put him out there and just have Aaron Rodgers do what? He's not Taysom Hill, Skip. He just can't just take a direct snap, wildcat, and just run the ball. So you're going to have Aaron Rodgers stand out wide like a wide receiver, snap it to Jordan Love and have him throw a pass? You created a situation in which you didn't need to. And I don't know the direction. Maybe this is their way of saying, Aaron, yeah, we're going to move on it sooner rather than later. But I don't see the good that's going to come out of this. And this situation is going to be really, something tells me, Skip, this situation is going to be really, really bad before it's all said and done. Yep.
I so agree with you. And I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan, as you know, but I feel for him on this one because, Shannon, I was stunned when I read this. I didn't think Aaron would have to worry about or put up with Jordan Love for maybe 2 years. What? Quote, unquote, almost a lock. They're going to have packages for Jordan Love next year. I've told you from the start, I hate packages for backup quarterbacks to replace starting quarterbacks. I don't think it's fair to either quarterback to do that. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, there's only one of those guys. He averaged about 10 plays a game for Marty Mornhinweg.
Correct.
As a rookie before he finally replaced Joe Flacco. We could all see that coming. But That's Lamar Jackson. He ran 4.3 in the 40. To your point, Jordan Love ran 4.74, which is pretty good for 6'4", 224. But still, he's not a gifted runner of the football. He did his year before at Utah State, he scored 7 rushing touchdowns. Last year, new coordinator, new head coach, he scored no rushing touchdowns. So now we're back to what does that package look like? What does it do to Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to have to come completely out of the game? Is he going to have to trot off the field in full view of the world in Lambeau Field? Man, that's beneath his dignity. He's earned better than that. Or is he going to have to trot out to the flanks and line up as a receiver decoy? That's way beneath his dignity. Hey, if this actually happens, and I respect Mike Freeman, I'm not saying it won't, but if it does, Aaron Rodgers will have every right to throw a post-game public fit about it, and he will have my backing because I have never liked this. I never liked it for Drew Brees. I know that Sean Payton's kind of greasing the skids for Drew to retire. He even blurted out a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago, that this is going to be Drew's last year before, and that seemed to be news to Drew. But he's been playing Taysom Hill here and there, more and more. Obviously, Drew did not play a Drew Brees game against Jenny's Vikings in that playoff game, and Taysom Hill played very well in the brief appearances that he had. So is Taysom Hill on course to become the next quarterback? Maybe, but I don't even like it for, like last year, I would watch Drew Brees have to trot out to the flank, look around like, I don't know what I'm doing out here. You guys know I'm not going to catch a pass. It's wrong. It's not the way to do it. I feel sorry for Carson Wentz, and I feel sorry for Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts can be a successful starting quarterback in this league. I don't want to see him have to run packages for Carson Wentz. It's hard on both of them. It's unfair to the football team. It's a sheep-think league, and just because Lamar did it and was successful at it, now everybody's going to find their Lamar. Well, I don't know. Jordan Love is not Lamar Jackson. And
exactly.
Boy, Aaron Rodgers, this is good. Shannon, this is going to get ugly in Green Bay quickly if, in fact, this starts happening, because Aaron Rodgers should not put up with this.
You're exactly right, Skip. And like I said, if we consider Jordan Love, or Jordan Love was thought of as the runner like a Lamar Jackson, like a Taysom Hill or Jalen Hurts. You can see, Skip, they run the ball. They give him some wildcats, give him the run, the run pass option, zone read stuff. Okay, but that's not what he is. He's basically Aaron Rodgers. He's a drop back quarterback. So I'm trying to figure the package in which you can benefit. Skip, what is the package that you can put on the field? Take Aaron Rodgers off. That would be better than having Aaron Rodgers up under center or taking the shotgun snap as opposed to Jordan Love. So you try to tell me there's some package that you can put together that Jordan Love would be better in throwing the football than Aaron Rodgers. Because, Skip, we know Drew Brees is not the runner Taysom Hill. Joe Flacco wasn't the runner that Lamar Jackson was. Okay, we get that. But Jordan Love is a drop-back quarterback. You create Green Bay, you created this. Hopefully you know what you're doing. But Aaron Rodgers, Skip, and he's a guy like Tom Brady did a great job of suppressing this. You knew he was seething after he caught wind and he played it. Guys, look, that's Aaron Rodgers is not like that. Aaron Rodgers will tell you he's frustrated. Aaron Rodgers will tell you he's disappointed, and this is some bull jive. And especially he get a couple of glasses of that scotch up in it, Jenny. Some of that doers and old Johnny Walker. Maybe it's that McAllen. He gonna come in that press conference.
Yeah.
He gonna tell him just what's on his mind, Skip.
He is, Shannon. And I think it was Saturday I was watching NFL Network. They had a documentary on the 1971 Dallas Cowboys, obviously coached by Tom Landry. A season during which Landry actually tried to alternate his quarterbacks every other play between, as you remember, Craig Morton, Roger Staubach. They're actually going out every other play where he's calling the play to the quarterback on the sideline, then he trots in and runs it. It was a disaster. Not until he finally went full time with Roger Staubach did they take off and finally beat the Dolphins and win the Super Bowl. And history started happening after that. But it's the one position in sports, you can't split it. You can't feel strongly both ways. You just can't. You have to go all in for one guy or replace him. Go with the other guy. Yep. It's the only way that position will work.
Skip, it's funny that you say that because in 1992, Dan Reeves, who was on the Cowboy, I don't know if he was still a player or he was in the coaches, but he did the exact same thing with Tommy Maddox and Sean Moore. John got hurt, and for the next 8 games, they were alternate. I was like, I thought, I was glad they wasn't sending me because I was forgetting the play, Skip. They sent me in. I was so pumped up that I get to the huddle like, what's the play? I'm like, I forgot. And so Dan was alternating quarterbacks just like you said. Jenny, don't laugh, Jenny. That actually happened a couple of times. Jenny, I forgot. That was a long way to run from the sideline to the middle of the field.
Sorry, my laugh was a little bit too aggressive there. It was just how you said it. You forget the plays. Oh, I love picturing Shannon back in those days. All right, you forgot. After a stellar rookie season, Baker Mayfield talked big about the hype leading into 2019. His play, though, fell short, however, as he threw for fewer touchdowns and more interceptions than as a rookie. Now the Browns QB says he's ready to let his play do the talking. And talking to reporters yesterday, Baker said this: "It's just time to work, do our thing instead of talking about it." So, Skip, in your opinion, how much better do you expect Baker to be this season?
Shannon, Jenny, I still love Baker Mayfield. I loved him before that draft. I said he should go number 1. He did go number 1 to the Cleveland Browns. I loved what he said yesterday. He swallowed a big old slice of humble pie. Way to go, Baker. But I do not love his chances next year because he's going to be on the hottest seat of any young quarterback in the game. Any excuse he had for his regression last year got taken away. They drafted Jedrick Wills to be his new left tackle out of Alabama. Great move. They went and got Jack Conklin to be his new right tackle. Very sound, strong move. And they went and got Austin Hooper, who had 100 targets and caught 75 balls and made his second Pro Bowl last year for Matt Ryan in Atlanta. That was a really good move because Njoku, his other tight end, is going to come back from a broken wrist. So he's going to have 2 high-quality tight ends. to go with two high-quality running backs in, obviously, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And Shannon, everything is right. They made all the right moves except for one. They did not trade Odell Beckham Jr. I thought they were. Rampant reports, speculation said they were. He was going to Minnesota. Vikings lost Stephon Diggs, to Buffalo. And so it seemed like that works, especially if you get some quality back, high pick for him, whatever. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen. Now you're stuck with Odell. The Giants decided after they gave Odell all that money, they could not win with Odell, who's more trouble than he's worth. So now you have all these new weapons, all this new firepower, but Odell is saying, I was hurt last year. That's why I had career low numbers. He says in a video he posted a couple of weeks ago, I was pretty much effed up the whole year. So Odell is disqualifying everything that happened last year when Baker threw him 133 balls, 138 to Jarvis, 133 to Odell, and career low numbers. He's saying, I had a sports hernia. I got it surgically repaired. Jarvis had a hip injury. He got that surgically repaired. So you got two wideouts competing against each other, both from LSU and close friends, and they want footballs. I told you earlier, Odell is like Cam Newton. His presence is so huge. His aura, his social presence is so immense that he can't be just some complimentary cog in an offense featuring the running game and the tight ends. It will not work. If he's not a happy camper, this will be a very unhappy locker room because he will do nothing but campaign through the media to get more footballs thrown to him. I would not want to be the quarterback of this team this year. And in the end, Shannon, again, I like Odell personally, but you can't win with him. You can't win big with him because he's too big of a showboating diva. He needs lots of targets or he's going to make lots of waves in the locker room. So I don't love this situation for Baker. I still think he could have a bounce back year, but until they deal with Odell, Odell's just going to keep dealing with them.
Well, Skip, I feel very comfortable. I'm going to ride with OBJ this year. I'm going to say he has 75 catches, 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I'm going to say he's bounced back, he bounces back, and he's going to be in contention for comeback player of the year. That's what I feel about OBJ. So I'm just going to throw that out there, feel comfortable about that pick. But, Skip, for me, Baker, and everything that you said could be true. But it comes down to all that other stuff with the right drafting the left tackle in the top 10 and you getting Jack Conklin and you signing Austin Hooper. All that's fine and good. It comes down to the guy that's under center. He needs to play better. For whatever reasons, his fourth head coach and different offensive coordinators, all that's well and good. But we don't do it in pro sports, Skip. It comes down to this. It's wins and losses. And when you win, people keep their job. When you lose, people lose their job. That's how it goes. And there's only going to be so many times before the people that's coaching you lose their job as opposed to you that's not performing lose your job. So, Baker, this is on you now. You said you're going to do less talking, more preparing, and going to play better. Well, I'm here. We're going to see. I'm going to hold you to that because I saw what you did your rookie year, and then I saw what you did your second year. And, Skip, for me, I believe Baker is always going to be somewhere in the teens as far as interceptions because he has that moxie. He believes that he can be able to throw that football through a keyhole. And so he believes he can fit balls in the tight windows, and sometimes he takes risks that are unnecessary. And so I believe his interception total is going to be high. Well, in the teens. But if he can throw somewhere between, 25, 28 touchdowns, and keep the interception, as long as you're 2-1, Skip. If you're 2-1, that's good. You can live with that, Skip. Somebody throws 28 touchdowns, 14 picks, 28, 13. You can live with that, Skip. It's that when you get to that 22 and 21, or you get like James where you're 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, that ain't no good. Because you helping both teams win the game. And more times than not, you're putting the other team, you're setting them up for more success than you're setting us up. Because at the most inopportune time, you're going to turn it over. and we can't overcome that. So I'm counting on Baker to play better than what he played last year, because if he plays worse, I'm not so sure he's going to be there for year 4, Skip. So given that being said, I still believe the Ravens are going to win that division. But I do expect Baker and the Browns to take a big step. They got new coaches. They're going to have a new offense. And this offense is very, very friendly for Baker, Skip, because you're going to rely on the 2 guys to run the football. And it's going to be a lot of play action. And Jarvis, the tight end, and Odell should be open. So I expect a big year from Odell. And I expect Baker to have a bounce-back season.
Okay, so help me out with the mathematics here, because I'm not great at mathematics like you are. But you're telling me Odell's going to have a monster year, big bounce back, and yet Kevin Stefanski, I think he called plays for the Vikings, and a lot of the play calls went to Dalvin Cook or Latavius. He ran the football like crazy and tried to keep Kirk Cousins out of harm's way. So if the Browns are going to focus even more on running the football with Chubb and Kareem, thunder and lightning, and Austin Hooper and Njoku are going to get their share of the pie, then how is Odell going to have, whatever you said, 1,500 yards or whatever?
No, 1,200. 75 catches, 1,200. But let me ask you a question, Skip. Do you believe you like Kirk Cousins or you like Baker? Which one do you think is better? Because I know what they did with Kirk Cousins. So they minimized Kirk Cousins because he had a propensity to turn the ball over and put the ball in harm's way. So with that being said, I believe because Baker's a little bit more athletic, you can even put him on the move even more. And you saw with Thielen, Skip. You remember Thielen and Diggs, before Thielen got hurt, he was putting up monster numbers. So it's very possible. You know, me, Ed, and Rod used to put up big numbers. And we had TD. Now, they're not going to have a 1,700 or 2,000-yard rusher back there. So the numbers is possible, Skip. They could have decent numbers and still get enough of going around. Now, I don't think you're going to have 2 1,000-yard rushers, 2 1,000-yard receivers, and an 800-yard tight end. I don't believe that. But I believe Odell, Skip. Odell is the most talented player on that roster, period, especially on the offensive side.
No, I agree. That's why there's no way he can be just another guy in the receiving corps. And I know Baker well enough to know he loves Odell. If Odell's as healthy as Odell says he is now, Baker will try to feature him to a fault. The reason his interceptions went up to 21 last year, 22 touchdowns to 21 interceptions, was because he was forcing the ball to Odell. Was it because Odell wasn't healthy? Was he forcing too many balls to Jarvis, who also wasn't healthy? I guess we're going to find out. But again, what Baker wants to do is what you said. He wants to gun the ball to the outside receivers. That's his propensity. That's the way he was born. So again, here we go. It's going to be a wild ride, but he is on the hottest seat of any young quarterback, and he just might fall right off that seat.
Well, Skip, for the Odell, in order for him to he wants to be thought of as the best, he's going to have to get this team into the playoffs and play big in the playoffs. You look at the greats from Jerry to T.O. to Randy, Fitzgerald, all those Michael Irvin have played big come playoff time. Odell, if you want to be thought of as one of those guys, that's what it's going to take.
No mercy. The match with Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. Mickelson said he'd like to make it an annual event with rotating celebrities. Phil mentioned names like Steph Curry and Michael Jordan, Tony Romo, and Charles Barkley's names were also thrown out. So, Shannon, which 2 players would you like to see join Tiger and Phil?
In all honesty, I'd like to see anybody other than Charles Barkley, because Charles Barkley is going to Skip. You only got like 4 hours to see a golf match. Man, they know how bad Charles is. Charles shot 107, 104, and 105 in traditional scoring last year up in Tahoe. Man, Charles can't play no golf. I would like to see Steph Curry, because Steph Curry is a very good golfer. Somebody like Ray Allen. You know what? I want to see my brother in it. My brother, talked to him last night. He said, bro, I asked him, I said, what are you? He's like, I'm a +1. I said, you think you could outdrive Phil or Tiger? He said, absolutely. So, Skip, Skip, what made this so special was the players being Mike and they interacting and trash talking. Phil is perfect. Peyton Manning, you know his personality. Tom, when he hit that shot, he opened up a little bit. You know, Tiger so it's going to have somebody that, because Skip, just watching golf is not going to do it, Skip. You know you got to have the back and forth. Charles needs to be in the booth. Let Charles stay in the booth. Let him be in the guy's ear. He can talk, but keep Charles off the golf course.
You know what? I hear you about Charles, but I disagree with you about Charles. If you want ratings, if you want to shatter whatever rating they did, which was great the other day because we didn't have anything else to watch, obviously, you want Charles. You want Charles to team with Tiger. And I hear everything you said about his swing, and I get all that. But if you team Charles with Tiger and you teamed Michael Jordan with Phil, not only would you have a fascinating golf match, but you would have a fascinating soap opera because Charles and Michael used to be best friends. And then Charles dared to criticize Michael on TNT for Michael's inability to build his team in Charlotte. Michael, as you know, once bridge is burned, it's burned to the ground. You're out. You're off his list. So they have not spoken since that moment. But I do know that Michael is obsessed with golf. He again, to be able to compete at a level with Tiger and Phil at golf, I think Michael might consider it. And he carries a 2 handicap, which means if the par is 72, you would shoot 74. So he is really good at golf. Can you imagine the trash talk that could ensue between Charles and Michael, the greatest trash talker ever? And Shannon, remember, Charles would get a handicap of, I don't know, 30? He might, where that would mean on, that would mean on 12 holes, Charles would get 2 shots. So if Charles made a double bogey, he would get a par. That's how bad Charles is. And I agree with you. As a golfer myself and a golf purist, it's hard to watch it because his swing is this train wreck of demons and ticks. It's like watching Charles try to play golf is like watching a man trying to swing a club while being attacked by bees. He's just, it's just all herky-jerky, misfit movements. I don't even know what he's doing. I think he's seen psychologists for it. He's tried to get Hank Haney and others to teach him. Nothing works. He tried after the match the other day to just make a bogey on 18. He made a double bogey. And yet, I'm talking about the personality of Charles plus Michael plus Tiger and Phil. It would be extraordinary. So that's my favorite because I could stomach Charles's swing if I got to listen to him and Michael interact and give it to each other.
And you know what's going to happen. This is what happens with Michael. Skip, there'll be gambling within the match. Because remember, Skip, you think about it, because this is tailor-made for Phil. Because Tiger said, Phil, if you hit my ball, you can win the hole. Well, Skip, Phil's about 150, maybe 175 out, and he misses his ball by a foot. You know Mike, Skip. Mike can't do anything. Oh, I understand this is for charity. Yep. He says, okay, the golf match is for charity, but what we're doing right here is not for charity. So he's going to be betting 5,000, 10,000. That's how he is, Skip. And he's going to end up bankrupting Charles. Now, Tiger probably worth, $800, $900 million. But, yeah, I love to see Michael. But the whole thing, Skip, you got to let your personality show. You got to on Sunday, Peyton got it started early. When they asked him who would he have liked to have been his caddy, Skip, he got it right out the gate.
Beautiful.
He's like, I was thinking about it.
He got it.
I was thinking about Eli. Yeah, he needling Tom, and Tom is in ear distance of him. So Tom stopped swinging and listened to what he's saying. Then I thought about Nick Foles, but I was like, no. Bill Belichick would have been my caddy. And Tom was like, oh, you going there, huh?
Yeah, and remember, Tom was overmatched on the spontaneity. That's not Tom's forte. So he was a little bit of fish out of water or in the water because it rained the whole day. So again, you need bigger personalities and higher stakes and more backstory, more soap opera, between the lines drama. Because let's say you do Tony Romo and Steph Curry, it would be okay. And listen, Tony Romo and Steph Curry can really play. They can really play. Yeah. They have both played in professional competition. So if they were the partners and they got to hit from forward tees, remember they were letting Peyton and Tom hit from tees that were, 50 yards ahead of Tiger and Phil's back tee. And yet, if you let Steph and Tony hit from up there, they're going to make birdies. They might make some eagles.
No, Skip, I think in a situation like this with Tony and Steph Curry, you're going to have them hitting from the tips. They're going to have to end up hitting from where the pros hit from because they're that good. Peyton and Tom, they probably was hitting from, the blue tee. I think it's the blue tees. I think that's the most forward tees, if I'm not mistaken, Skip. Yeah. It's been so long since I've been on the course. But I believe Tony Romo and Steph could actually hit from the tips.
Well, maybe so. So maybe we should propose Sterling and Shannon Sharpe as the partners. Then Shannon could get the 30 handicap that Charles gets, right?
I think I could beat Charles, but I would need a couple of weeks or a month. I think I could beat Charles. I might be too tight, Skip. I might be too muscle bound.
Oh, seriously? That's what you're going to say about yourself? I hope Charles wasn't listening to that, guys. All right. Recent pictures of James Harden have caused a stir on social media. Harden appears to have dropped a significant amount of weight and looks ready to play as soon as the NBA season resumes. Shannon, I don't know. What do you think? Do you like Harden's leaner look?
Well, Skip, you can tell he's lost a substantial amount of weight, but I don't know if I would have done it, especially not knowing how my body's going to respond if and when we come back and play a season. I would have preferred him do it in the offseason. That way he can go to camp and see how his body's going to respond. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens when James Harden, because it looks like he's lost like 15 pounds, Skip. He's lost a substantial amount of weight. And so we don't know how his body is going to react to that. It normally takes you some time to get used to playing at a substantial less weight. And normally people do that in the offseason. But he has some time on his hands, and he says, I'm too heavy. We'll see how it works out.
I thought more 10 pounds, but you could be right. I thought his scraggly beard made it look a little worse than it was. But Shannon, this man, James Harden, has one of the weirdest bodies I've ever seen in a superstar athlete because, as we know, he's not chiseled the way LeBron is or Westbrook is or Jordan was. He's not that guy.
Right. No.
Yet, as doughy as he used to look, he has incredible flexibility and natural strength because he can slither through the trees to the rim. He can get to the rim. He can elevate. He can take shots. He can give shots. It worked. To me, I never saw James Harden look out of shape, even though his body didn't look great. It looked like he could run all night. I never saw him wave out a couple of minutes left. I don't remember him that often with his, hands down at the bottom, holding on to his shorts. I don't know. He looked like in shape, out of shape to me, if that makes any sense.
Right.
It's what they call, skinny fat, like you're skinny, but you still got some body fat hanging on you.
Your body mass index is high.
Yeah. Well, again, I liked what I saw, but I'm with you. This is a scary time to plunge on it. It looked like he was running that hill there in Tempe at Arizona State. It looked like they'd all run all the way to the top of the hill and then back down. So I hope it works. He probably thinks he can go steal a championship now and hope he can.
Yeah, and the temperatures get up to 100 plus degrees today, 109 today, Skip. And that's the thing. For me, there was nothing wrong with James Harden. You averaging 36 at that weight. Yeah. Why mess with it?
Yeah. Why mix it up? All right, that is it for us, guys. Thank you for watching. We're back at the same time tomorrow. Have a good day, guys.